Hello, this is John Piper with the weekend video, and it's Saturday the 14th of July. I'm looking today at this chart of Footsie to start with. Today I'm going to actually add arrows to the video. That's my plan anyway. So I'm doing both basically. I'm going to use the cursor initially, but then add arrows as we go forwards. With Footsie it's quite simple. We have the peak here, we have a clear ABC down to here, then have another A, B, C to these two peaks, which I'm calling Big B for the time being. Sessioners are going to see a big decline down from that Big B until, well, we'll have to see what happens. But it would appear to be a corrective decline, not an impulsive decline on Footsie, which is an important point. Now, going to the 5-minute chart, we've got the peak here, which is the B, a peak here, which is C. This decline so far is insignificant at this point in time. It doesn't really count as an impulsive move. It could be a 5, but it doesn't really say much at the moment about what's happening. So we need to see confirmation next week, and of course there's expiry week next week. Actually got it right this time. Expiry week tends not to be that dramatic. Having said that, the initial moves of even the largest decline can be quite muted. So we could just go up in a wave 2, down in a wave 3. 4, 5, up again. So we could actually quite a narrow range, but still trace out the patterns, which could suggest that we are in fact seeing a major peak at the moment. Right, looking at the DAX, this is the shorter term chart, 15-minute chart. So the case is here we have a major corrective rally following the major sell-off in January, and we're now on the way down again. And this 5-wave form from here down to here is wave 1. Counts very clearly as a 5-wave advance. Then got a very clear ABC up to here, B and then a C. A bit let down by the action here, as was, I mean, this could be a 5, but it's all a bit unsatisfactory, I think is the right word. A sell-off come Monday would set the scene perhaps for this on the DAX, a very significant decline, although Footsie, as I said, is suggesting something a little bit more muted. Right, looking at the Dow, again, we're just looking at the last couple of weeks of action, so or such. So big B ends here. We discussed that many times. Pretty impulsive, clearly impulsive move down. But I'm counting as either A or 1. I haven't seen an A wave, big A wave decline, then a fairly big B wave rally. We're looking for another correction here. So a bit like Footsie, but a bit more dynamic. And also since the beginning of the year again, whereas Footsie peaked just a month or 2 ago. Now, so we've got this big move down, say either an A or 1 wave. We've then got an A, triangular B, and then this C wave coming in. It does count as 5 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5. Possible to count 5 waves here also, but again we need the confirmation. Absolutely no confirmation of that peak at this point in time, but it fits in with the other patterns we're looking at. Right, looking at gold, we've now made new lows. It's gone below the trend line. So the same trend line which I mentioned last time, documented over the last few years, has again been penetrated. Solid spike action, so the trend line is again being confirmed as being of some relevance. But the wave count is indiscriminate and it's sort of short term. So we've got this rally here, which is now academic whether it's a 5 or not, because I made new lows anyway. So that counts as corrective. The actual action since the peak here doesn't count well as anything in particular because everything's overlapping. So that was a wave 2 low, then it's overlapped by this thing which could be a wave 4 high. And although there are 5 waves, in a sense 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because of the overlap and the format, so you've got A, B, C there, and the overlap here, so the whole thing's a bit messy. So whether or not this is of importance remains to be seen. I'm waiting for some kind of confirmation before making any further comments on gold. Right, Bitcoin, we've discussed the 5-wave move from up to here, from the low. So it's not a bad count actually, but a little bit flaky. This is also a 5 though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could change. In fact, it's possible that if we saw a further decline here, it could become an A, B, C A wave, then the sideways B wave, and then another C wave coming in. And they were of equal length, so from around 6850 6840 odd, down to 63, which is 530 points odd. So down to around 59. It's going to be a bit touch and go about making new lows. But it's not impossible. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, we trade what we see, not what we think. So right now, we haven't got the buy signal, and we may well have lower to go. I think it's certainly probably better than 50-50 that we might well see new lows here. Right, that's all for today. If you found that interesting and useful. I'd appreciate some feedback on the arrows. It's quite it's a step backward actually in actually producing the videos to have to draw the arrows on afterwards. It's far more intuitive and simple and flows with the what I'm saying to actually add them as I'm talking. But obviously, if that's lagging, it's not really going to help matters. So I'm hoping this is a step forwards as far as the actual user experience is concerned. But please let me know, and I can adapt accordingly. I might actually try and put the I'm using Mac for Windows, Camtasia for Mac for this video, which I say is working fine, but doesn't have that flexibility with drawing the arrows. I may think about perhaps getting a dedicated machine for Camtasia for Windows, which I guess might solve the problem, because it's much simpler and more intuitive to actually draw them as I'm talking. Anyway, have a great weekend. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.